so I relate. So I let them know, like, hey, I'm the same age as you, and, let me ask you, if you had two options, one, you pay for the policy literally to the month that you died versus being done at 65, which one would you rather do? I'm like, well, I want to stop paying for it. I'm like, of course you would. Who wouldn't? And then this is what that's going to allow you to do. Now, I've already defeated what they had through work, this, that, or the other. The best way that I accomplish that is, one, I review with them, why, especially if they're a union, association, et cetera. I let them know, why do you think that your organization, whether it's the board of directors, president, however they go about it with the group, why do you think they would have brought us in? If you can keep your insurance through work, wouldn't that make us irrelevant?
Mm-hmm.
If you can keep it through work, why even do business with us? So your own board of directors knows you can't keep your insurance, right? But luckily for you, we come in place to make something that's permanent and portable. So if you do fire, depending if, say it's like something simple, right? Like I say I'm dealing with like a enrollment I had a couple of days ago. I had a barista at Starbucks. Very simple. I asked her, is this your end all be all? She's like, no. I'm like, okay, so at one point we are going to be leaving, right? She's like, yeah. So I was like, you know what happens to that group term coverage? And first, you know what that term stands for? She's like, I'm not sure. I'm like, it stands for termination. That's why they call it that. They just don't want to say your group termination coverage. So they call it your group term coverage, right? And then from there, I'm like, well, listen, this is going to be permanent and portable, right? Because when you think about it, money doesn't buy insurance. It pays for it, but it doesn't buy it. It's what your age and health does, right? So say you do retire with them. Say it is your end all be all. You got in the company when, say you're like 30, right? Now we're 65. That's 35 years. Well, now we went 35 years. What do we get from it? There's no cash value. It's not permanent. This is exactly why your organizations do business with us, so that we can protect that financial future, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not getting this because you're going to die. You're getting it because your loved ones are going to live. Does that make sense?
It does.
Mm-hmm. And then I go from there. The youngsters, you got to convince them you're not Superman. It has nothing to do with them having insurance through work. They want to go to the bar, right? They want to spend money on the charger that they can't afford, right? Guys, we have our vices. Ladies, you have your vices, right? They want to just go have fun. They're not thinking about this. Now, you will get them from time to time. We all get those where they just mature early. But the youngsters, they just simply don't care. Your job is to make them care. And I do that by painting the picture, right? So, Gonzalo, you're out having, a couple cold ones with the boys. You decide to go drive, right? And you get in an accident, whether you caused it, right, which majority of the time is what's going to happen, or say you do get hit, right? Just think about that. With nothing in place, you know what your parents have to do?
Pay my funeral.
Now, let me ask, when's the last time you asked your parents to borrow money?
It's been a while now.
Been a while? Is it a while because things are kind of, tight, or, it's just that maybe they're teaching you a lesson? Well, how about a $15,000 lesson? Everything that they've done, that they provided for you, right, in maturing, and this is at the day what happened, not attacking, right? It's just, this is the facts. You get behind the wheel, you blow a stop sign, or someone blows it on you, right? And, there's that accident, and I don't say you passed away. No, you're dead. Die, dead, or death. It's not shalom, pass away, if you're no longer here. No, you died. Right? And then that's when I just piggyback it, on the parents, right? This is what they set you up for. And then that's one that I've used. I actually did that on my own. I don't even know how it came to be. I was in the zone and it came out of my mouth. Right? When's the last time you asked your parents for money? And then now I'm going to have a sense on what the family has. I'm like, well, listen, if mom and dad can't borrow you $50 for gas, how in the world are they going to spend $10,000? Versus mortgage, selling X, Y, and Z, right? And now it gets them thinking to where maybe it's not necessarily whole life, because I can do plenty of 10-year and 4 years on these guys, because at least I'm locking in their insurability. That's one that I do like, is I'll bring the parents and ask them, when's the last time I had to borrow money from mom and dad? And typically it's just mom and dad don't have it. It's typically not because I'm going to teach you the value of $1. It's really just not the way it works anymore. You know what I mean? It's because they're also on a fixed income, right? It's very tight. But now we can't get $50 for gas, but you expect them to do 10,000. Make them think about it by painting the picture.
Yeah, that's what I learned to picture them. What is happening now when they don't have coverage, and what can happen once they get protected. So I paint them that, and I ask direct questions. What is your concern? What is your major concern? What should we focus on today? And I asked these direct questions, which was helping me in closing last couple of weeks without no rebuttals. But my next question would be for you, Greco, is I had people maybe like a month ago, they are union leads. They are in their 55s, and it was wife and the guy. They already had a lot of coverage to the job, outside of their job. They already had 2-3 policies. So I couldn't close them. I didn't know how. So
I like this one.
I
like this one. I like this one a lot because I'm how do I put it? Gonzalo, you see me in a house. You know my attitude. I wouldn't say cocky or arrogant, but I'm very blunt. I don't care if you're 20. I don't care if you're 80. I talk the same exact way because I have to make it real. But the first thing that needs to come out of your mouth is, that's excellent. Be really surprised if you didn't have it. And say they give me a number. Like for insurance wise, oh, you have enough, right? So give me a number. Give me something you think is a lot of insurance. Give me one. Go ahead.
30,000.
30,000?
No, like 250,000.
250,000? That's not bad, Gonzalo. That's a good start. That's my line. That's a good start because now I just shot the whole thing down. So put it this way. Business owners, right? They're a big one. Say they're $1 million. That's what I'm looking at, right? We have $1 million worth of insurance. $1 million? Oh, that's not bad. It's a good start. Because they don't know who I deal with, what everyone else has, right? So that's my first one. Excellent. I'd be really surprised with everything that we talked about. I'd be surprised if you didn't have that, right? It's a good start. But say it's a business owner approach, right? The way I ask them now is, Layla, is the business growing or is it dying?
It's kind of standing because of the COVID.
Okay. Do you see it bouncing back up? I mean, you're not being in business for yourself to just be stagnant, right? I mean, you obviously you want it to grow, of course, right?
Yes.
So with growth, doesn't that mean more responsibility, more employees, larger inventory, more advertising, more marketing, more liability? Right? So if it's growing, this is simply the need for additional coverage based on what that is. Because if we don't need anything, what I'm hearing, Layla, is that the business is dying. But from what you said, it's growing. And then from there, oh, I never thought about it like that. And internally, you're like, really? But you can't say it like that because it's a phrase or a word where that light bulb just goes off. That's that line that they needed to hear. But that's how I'll come at someone that has it. But let's say we're breaking it down. Can I get access to the whiteboard on here?
Tomatovich. You would have to give him a co-host or something.
Yeah, I gotta make you a host.
I'll show you how to destroy that one right now. There's no such thing as too much. Someone that says they have too much insurance.
You have to go to the main room.
Yeah, I have to go in the main room to make him a host.
Oh, do you? That's all right. I'll do it kind of like a line by line deal. But what I'm doing?
No, because I want the actual visit. The actual visit. Can you end the breakout rooms, Tomatovich?
Breakout rooms are open.
End them all. End breakout rooms.
Yeah, if it's not too much trouble. I mean, that is.
Close them all?
Yeah, close them all. Just so you could take us to the main room. All right, continue recording. All right, give him host or co-host. Yeah, and I'm sure everybody knows Greco's the one that brought me in and made me say this one line of the recap 200 times in the back of his truck. I had my tongue all dry.
I remember that day like the back of my hand, February.
You should rephrase that.
Enoch, it's on your mind. You just outed your own self. All right, so I can do, let's see, share whiteboard. Okay. So what I would look at, right, and I would do it just like this because it's a lot of numbers. They're not writing it down. They're not going to know where you're coming from. Plus, I want proof. Not that I don't believe you, but I don't believe you. So if we're looking at text, right, and say we're looking at a married couple, what we'll do is do Dave and Mary. And I don't know if you guys do this, but when I'm on Zoom and I have a married couple, before I even start, I ask them what their favorite color is. And that's what I type. It's cheesy, but it works, you know. So let's just say we got Dave, right? And Dave is sitting on 750,000. Not a bad start. And then over here, right? Change it. Red's better. I like Mary better already, and I'll tell her that. Mary has 500. Okay, this is the insurance that they have. This is everything. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is kind of break down the family because I know where I'm going to put the biggest hole in this, and it's going to be in the income. Okay, so when I'm breaking down, you know, the sheet, and I'm going over final expense, income, mortgage, any additional debt, what I'm going to look at, say for Dave, right, I'm going to ask him like his income. Okay, say if he's working with 750, you know, let's just say this guy's pretty good. He's making $100,000 a year. Okay, very relevant. And then over here, say I have Mary simply making 50,000. Okay, $50,000 a year. Okay, what I'm going to look at now. There should be a sheet in the office. I don't know if we still have this. I still use it. But the first thing that I'm going to look at is they have 750,000, but now I'm going to talk about income, right? So and you're going to cross them. So Dave, or for Mary, you know, God forbid, you know, Dave died, you know, during his prime working years. That's $100,000 a year, right? How many years do you think it would take, you know, for you to adjust for that loss of income? You know, some say, you know, 1, some say 3, some say 5. This is the important part. Would you say at least 3? You're going to say yes every time, right? Like, would you say at least 3 years, Mary?
Yeah.
Okay. So right there, I just created 300,000, right? So right now I just cut that 750 to 450, just like that. Okay. So here we're going to go off of 3 years of his income. We'll look at 3 years. That's 300,000. Okay. And then I'm going to say vice versa. Typically, with the higher one, I'm going to have 1 year, right? Maybe 3. Sometimes it's going to come in as nothing. Okay. But still, the point is, let's just say we go off of 1, just keep it simple, you know, 1 year of her income. So now I'm going to take away 50,000. Okay. Now come the additional. So remember, his debt is her debt. And her debt is his debt. Okay. So if we're looking at this, we already covered income. Next one, we talk about mortgage, right? Say they have a $275,000 mortgage. I'm almost there already. Okay, so the mortgage is $250,000. I'm not asking over here. I'm going to go ahead and put it in anyway because their debt is each other's. So there's $250,000. Okay. Then I'll come back with the outstanding debt, right? So loans, you know, college loans, medical bills, credit cards, the cars themselves. So let's just say that's another 100,000, right? So debt is 100,000. I only need one answer because now it's also going to come over here. Okay? And then the last one, you guys know what the last one is? I haven't even talked about the funeral yet, have I?
No.
So this is where I ask them, right?
Yeah, kids
When
or?
it comes to final expensive, I'm not dealing with children. Don't even need to.
Okay.
So that's just going to be an added feature because, I mean, if we're on a football field and I got a revolver, I ain't going to take shots at you from the 50-yard line when I can just get you from the 5
Right.
and save my ammo. I don't need to use it yet because I might not even need it. So this one's going to be final expenses, right? What is it today? But that's not what I'm putting, right? Because say they're in their 40s. Right, so I'm always going to push for that 30,000 like we always do. So 10 to 15,000 right now. Obviously, okay, you guys are still young, right? We have at least another half of our lives to live. Fair to say, it's probably going to be right between that 25 to 30,000 for final expenses, right? They're going to say yes.
Yeah.
So now I'll just do funeral. Now I have funeral, 30,000. We're going to bring it over here. The sheet is much more elaborate, too. This is just me pulling it out from memory. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-put in the coverage that they have, right? So I'm going to review with them. Now, Dave, from what you reviewed with me, you have 750,000, okay? Somebody add up that real quick. Easy math. So the 3 years, the mortgage, the debt, and the funeral, what is it?
430.
What is it?
430.
So you got 300 right here with 250.
Oh, on the blue one?
550,000.
Oh, gotcha. I was counting the red one.
Plus this, right, is 650,000, right? So we're looking at 680,000. Okay? Typically, the cases, they're already going to be breaking even. This guy just hasn't yet, but you'll see where I'm going to go with this. That's minus 680,000. Okay? Which means, where are we at? 70,000, right?
70.
Yeah.
Now, some cases you're going to get that. That's a plus. Now you get to congratulate him, right? But someone's going to fall. So 70,000, right? But now, let's go ahead and take a look at Mary. Let's bring this down here. We're looking at doing that. So now we're looking at her 500,000. Okay. So you got
430.
You got here. What was it?
430.
Okay. So we have 430,000 here. So we're still positive how much? 70 again, right?
70 again. Yep.
So when this happens, they're still good, right? But now this is where I can tie in children. Whether it's generational wealth plan, whatever it is, et cetera. But this typically isn't going to be the case. I just throw in random numbers out there. What I would look at for people that I have enough coverage. Let's now do this. Let's change this to 250. Everything else is going to stay the same, right? Mary, we're going to put out 100. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do this. Now give me these numbers. So this all stays the same, right? That's no positive sign anymore. So now it's going to be negative, right? 680,000 and 250. What is it?
3. I think something.
And 430,000.
Yeah, 430. Yeah.
Minus 430.
Right? And then let's do it over here. I know it's a little confusing. You'll see how it all ties together, though. but now we're at 330,000, right? So this is where my blunt part comes in. In my own mind, I'm not saying this to them, but they have enough coverage. Prove it. I bet you don't. I bet you don't. So you have two people here that are just completely sad on the fact that they have more than enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just showed your 250,000 with what you just told me with your obligations. So even with your 250,000, you're still putting Mary in the hole, almost $500,000. Should we reanalyze this? And they're gonna be like, well, I didn't see it like that. Like, listen, most people don't. This is why you have a company like us where we review this with you on an annual basis. Because Gonzalo, I mean, isn't it fair to say every 8 to 10 months there's some type of a major change?
Yeah.
Bought a home, lost a job, divorced, married, kids left the house, better job, right? There's so many different scenarios here to where I just busted your $250,000 like that. Because now I'm going to ask them, well, of all of these, which one is the biggest concern? Well, the income protection. Okay. So now I can look at either I can do it in whole life. I'm writing $300,000 a whole life. I'll write $300,000 a whole life before I write $300,000 a 4-year. But because I have so much more value when it comes to the whole life with permanent, right, with cash value, with a reduced paid up option. You know, if you're not there yet, don't worry about it. You will be, right? You got to know the basics and your additions before we teach you algebra, right? But just look at this. You have people that just told you that they have more than enough insurance. They want nothing else to do with you. I just did what every agent doesn't do, and I just pulled the layers back a couple more, and now I probably just wrote a $3,000 deal like I'm going to do on Friday. I'm going to try and bust almost $10,000 on Friday.
That's a good stuff. I appreciate you. Really make it clear. I never thought like this.
No, this is the biggest way to get people that say that they already have enough insurance. Prove it. Prove it. If you have enough, then, well, listen, I mean, you guys saved me a whole bunch of time. I got another 15 people I got to get with. And then this is where, like, when I would do this in the house, and Slav taught me this. Like, this is exactly from his pitch, right? Everything's good. I'm packing up my stuff. And then I'm literally getting up from the table about to leave. And then I asked him regarding, like, that sheet. And then all of a sudden, I'm planting right back down. And I'm pulling out my piece of paper. I'm like, you guys are going to love this. Why? Well, your defense is down. You thought, they basically thought that they just won because I was about to walk out of the house. And I'm just simply showing them a piece of paper. Their guard's down. You know what I mean? Now this is where I'm doing this breakdown. And like, I think it's a little different of an order, but I'm basically right on point. Anyone that's seen me do this, you know what this pitch is. But I'm basically taking everything in the household because life insurance is so much more than final expenses. People understand that. It's not just a burial.
So, changing on, I mean, I guess this is around the same topic, but now when you're dealing with people that, I know you use the will kit a lot. What is something people, do you run like will kit leads or no? I'm just seniors.
I mean, I've done them, but with seniors, that's just, I mean, that's cut and dry. I mean, I'm going right into probate state. I'm keeping it very, very generalized on what happens in a state like North Carolina.
Okay, so can you role play that? How would it look? Just to give them an example, because I know with the will kit, I know Jordan and Lee Simone, they run the will kits as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, the will kit itself, like, depending where they bring it up, I use Patrick's pitch on this. When I'm basically going over, there's 3 things I'm going to go over today. So the first one is basic contact info as well as the complimentary benefit, yada, yada, yada. I confirm their email, their phone number, the address is still the same. You know what I mean? Before I go to review their coverage, I'm like, now, real quick, Gonzalo, let me ask you, have you guys, done a will yet or, thinking about doing it? And then they'll be like, yeah, well, we thought about it. No, they didn't, right? But they just want to appease me, And this is now where I'm like, okay, well, one of these benefits, and then I just do the will kit in regards to why it's important versus what happens if you don't have it, right? Because long story short, probate, outside of life insurance, so never tell them insurance because that's not true. Because insurance has beneficiaries, it's going to pay out to the beneficiaries. But checking, savings, land, 401k, pension, Roth IRA, I don't care what it is. Could be in probate court up to 4 months. Just easily call it 25%. By the time they're done with the 15% tax, as well as the 10% charge you get out of probate court, North Carolina just made out with 25% of your assets. So if you're sitting on $1 million, congratulations, you just gave North Carolina $250,000. You know what I mean? So that's the point that I'm making, is the fact that that piece of paper is not just a simple piece of paper. Just like someone that's diabetic, that's like, oh, I take a simple sugar pill. Try not taking that simple sugar pill. It's not so simple.
Right.
I mean, that's when I'm breaking it down on why it's important, what they're able to do with it. And that's how I get my referrals immediately from the gate. All the company is asking in order to receive the will kit is simply just sharing it with 5 individuals whom can benefit from the will, as well as having access to our additional union benefits as well. So who's the first 5 that come to mind? And if they don't know anyone, well, listen, I know we all have people that we don't like. Give me 5 individuals you don't like, and I'll make sure I bother them every single day for you. And I will.
Yeah, that's cool.
I get a rise out of it. I like it. They hang up, I'll call them. And I'll call them again. They hang up again, I send a text message. They don't answer, I call again and leave a voicemail. I've had enrollments off of it.
So, Greco, I know through your time being here, man, let me ask you, if you were to go back and you were a new agent, and when it came back down to getting to the closing part, what are some things that you would tell yourself if you could go back in time when you're a new agent? If you get, your close down isn't there yet. If you would get a straight cash for money.
So, I guess there's a few. The toughest thing for me when it comes, to that is being next to Patrick the whole entire time. And it's not gloating or boasting. I never had problem in my career writing business. And I think it's because, one, I knew my presentation overnight. That's how important this was to me. Patrick did his in his closet, when he memorized his. And I still remember when I came to the office that following day, I was throwing darts and he put me on the spot and I was like, oh crap, he's for real, right? I can still do that script today. Members that respond to the mail from the group are entitled to see additional benefits if they qualify. My job is to provide the benefits you're already entitled to. And then I can still spew the whole entire thing and we don't even do it anymore, right? Mm-hmm. But I knew that presentation to a T. So if we're studying for 10 minutes and we're like, oh, we don't get it. One, be honest with yourself because clearly you don't get it, right? But secondly, also give yourself credit in being in an industry that you've never been before. This was new to all of us, right? And I was very introverted. I couldn't stand people. I was very shy. I was very bashful. But once you're confident in doing something, it's crazy how that dissipates. You don't even notice because you're confident in what you do, right? Therefore, you want to show it off. So I was very to the T on memorizing that script to the T because I can never come back empty-handed if I did say that script, right? So another thing, you got to be honest with yourself to where, say they want a video. Don't do a video of the real presentation so that you can go back and do all your presentations the wrong way. There's nothing you can create that no other agent before you has ever tried before. There's nothing you can do. You're not reinventing anything. All the shortcuts, it's already been done, and they know what to look out for, right? So it just comes down to how well do you know it. If you don't know it, like Slav says, write out 100 times because you won't do it because it's not going to be necessary. You are going to learn it. Role-playing was huge for me. My fiance at the time, first thing in the morning, I wake her up at 5 in the morning, and I'd do my pitch. I'd come home, she'd be making dinner, and I'd be going over my presentation. Before we went to bed, I'd be saying it to her again. So I was fortunate, to where I had her on my side, but that also brings in the mind, body, and spirit action to where showing her what this is going to look like. She was 100% confident in me because with my actions, she knew I was taking this seriously. It wasn't nonchalantly. She knew that this was my end all be all. And I just kept saying it over and over, not to where I couldn't or where I had it down, I had it right. I did it to where I just simply couldn't get it wrong. Even if I wanted to mess up, I simply couldn't do it. But I had enough reps in. One thing Patrick always says is getting 100 presentations in. Now, this is not only live ones. You actually want to get your 100 in before you even start a live one. But even if you're not there, I mean, don't just, cut yourself off. Well, build it. Say you only did 30 and now you're pitching right now. Well, you got another 70 to go before you can actually give yourself a sample size that's worth analyzing. But if you haven't pitched to enough people yet, you can't say anything. I'm not sure. I mean, Enoch's probably seen it with me. Gonzalo probably as well. But there's times where I've done 3-4 days, or maybe I did 15 presentations and didn't close one.
Patrick went 0-16.
Yeah, just like the Lions.
Ago.
Even though they went 4-0 in the preseason, they went 0-16.
And then he closed like $16,000 in a week.
Yeah, that was my $10,000 Saturday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, blanked. Ask yourselves, what would you guys do if you blanked 5 days in a row? Would you still be here? Because what would that Saturday look like if you went out and did exactly the same thing the way it needed to be done? And none of that was POS, by the way. I was down in Calabash. Anyone know where Calabash is if you're in North Carolina? I was the traveler of the group. I wanted to get out of this area. I went 2-3 hours every single day because no one wanted to go there. So it was a gold mine for me, right? And because you don't want to drive because you have personal obligations doesn't mean that member that is entitled to those benefits shouldn't get them because of your personal time. That's irrelevant. You sacrificed that when you got into the opportunity. But helping the others is why you're going to get what you want. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that'll kill anybody's motivation, right? Because of positive self-talk, not ignoring Patrick and Slav's phone calls, but actually taking them. And if I missed them, I would call them right back. That's why I wrote $10,000 on Saturday. There was that 5,000, that came in, which at the time, I think I had like 2,200, like my monthly. Right now, I mean, this new condo is $3,100 alone. Like my monthly now is almost $7,500. Now it's not, oh crap, it's $7,500. It's like, no, that's my minimum because I want to make money. Well, to make money, it's not just about breaking even. So what's 7,500? $15,000. Why shoot for 20, 30? Last 2 months, that's 100% on me. You guys have never heard me in those meetings, right? Excuses, not once. Every single time was me being accountable to my own actions. Loss of focus, loss of clarity, personal things happen. Mind and spirit, slipped. But at the end of the day, like I count that to Patrick and Slav's coaching because that's what allowed me to pull my head out of my butt, right? And be like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I got to go do it. It's just that simple. I don't dwell anymore like I did, but I wasn't perfect. I was definitely another skeptical. It's the people, it's the area, right? It's this, it's that, it's the other.
Yeah.
That's when things get worse. And that's when things like personal life start turning on you too, right? Not just business. And now it's like, you think things are tough? Now I'm really going to show you what tough looks like. And then once you grasp that idea, I mean, you can literally do anything. It just depends what you're doing with your time. But you can't study for an hour, right, all day, haven't done anything all day, and then bring it to them that you're working hard. You're lying to yourself. Just stop doing it. Don't be a liar, right? It's another reason why I physically cannot understand, and I know this has happened to agents because it's happened to myself previously. I can't understand one presentation a day. We did 4 to 5 presentations. Driving, knocking on doors, 2.5 hours away. 4 to 5 was the minimum, right? So you should be looking at 6, 7, 8, I flood my schedule. I flood every hour, and then once the hour's filled, I do every half hour. Why? Well, I got people waiting on me. So the way my mindset works is, say I missed you, right? Say I got 6 presentations in and I missed 5 people, okay? One, these people are aware because I either texted them, right? Or I called them while I was with my client, right? Because that shows even more respect, right? Hey, can give me just a second. I have another family. I'm running a little bit behind. I just don't want them to think I forgot about them, right? Well, now those 5, that's an easy reset for tomorrow. On top of the other 6 that I already set. But tomorrow, guess what happens? The people that you missed, that's going to be the priority. Because say I miss the ones that I set for tomorrow, not that I reset, I've never missed them yet. So if I did miss them, guess what I'm going to do with them? Now I'm going to reset them the next day if I have to. Point taken is I've only missed them once. All right, I had a person that was missed 3 times last week. And I closed them for $1,200 today. I don't know who it is, but thank you. This person missed them, or 2 people combined 3 times. And he didn't even want anything to do with me.
What was the name?
Don't worry about it.
So, Greco, this was so helpful. Thank you so much. And I'm going to steal your phone number if you would allow me so I can bother you more if I have questions. But
it's out there. You don't got to steal it. It's out there.
So I have one more question. What I see, I personally struggled in the beginning, and I see new agencies with no-shows.
Yes.
No-shows. That was for me. I found myself on the beginning, I would be so down. Oh, nobody's showing up. I have 10 appointments booked one time. Nobody showed. 10 people. I was like,
I was just going to say that 10 people. Not one of them showed, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is how you got to change that, right? Put it this way. Kendall, ask yourself, do you think all 10 of those people got together and were like, you know what? Let's not answer Kendall today. That's ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. So right there, you just threw that out of your mind because you rephrased it, right? If you had 10 appointments and all 10 of them missed you, right, all 10 of them blew you off, ask yourself, did they all get together in the town hall and they're like, you know what, let's ignore them today? Not the case, right? So what does that mean?
Can you stop sharing, Layla?
One word.
Solidify it.
Solidification. That's going to be it. So the way I do mine is I'm not setting an appointment just to set an appointment to keep my leader happy. Look, I set 10. Yeah, but you got in none. And it's consistent. Right? That's not making you money. You need the presentation, right? Because 1, you need to get your reps in, right? 2, you need a live audience. So when I do my solidification, like on the phone, I'm very, very thorough with them. So me, like I know I deal with seniors, right? So I have a lot of retirees. Like I want to get them in the morning. But now I've been handling a lot of 30, 40, 50-year-olds, which I get to pump the value in because the amount of insurance they can get compared to what I'm limited to selling, for seniors. It's incredible how easy it is, right? When I start getting, into it, because I get pretty into it, where I got to tell them, obviously you can tell I'm not from North Carolina, right? I'm from Chicago. I talk fast. Always have and always will. So I'll tell them, just let me know, tell me to slow down or shut up. You know what I mean? But I'm playing with them. But I'm going to find out, when you guys both off of work. I'm not going to pitch one knowing that the wife's there, right? But the husband might not, because that's going to be a one leg. You're going to be upset, even though you did it to yourself. You just did a 45-minute presentation. You thought they were going to buy. I need to talk to my wife. Like, oh, he's got to talk to his wife. Well, shouldn't you have known that they both should have been there in the first place? Because you probably would have had a sale. So solidification is going to come down to a couple things. 1, you got to know their schedule, right? So if they're like, 4 o'clock's good. Like, well, you said you get off at 3:30, right? Like, yeah. And it wasn't an hour drive. Like, yeah. So if you get off at 3 or 3:30, right, that 4 is not going to work because you're probably not even getting back till 4:30, not even including traffic or wind down time. So let me just go ahead and do this for you. Layla, let me set that for 5. I mean, I'm sure that's going to give you time with rush hour, getting everything taken care of, when you get in. So I'm not getting you right off the gate when you walk in the door. 5 o'clock's going to give you enough time, right?
Yes.
Is there any reason, outside of just a crazy accident, why that 5 o'clock wouldn't be good for you?
No, 5 sounds good.
Okay. Well, listen, all I want real quick, because I know a lot can happen between now and then. That's what I say. I'm like, listen, I know life can happen. Or I know a lot can happen between now and then. I don't care if it's like 9 a.m. tomorrow is my appointment, and I just said it right now at 8:30. Like, listen, I know a lot can happen between now and tomorrow morning, right? So just go ahead and write my information down. Again, it was Anthony, because now I get to say my name again. And then I give him my phone number, and then I'm going to have him read it back to me to see if they were BSing me, if they actually did write it down or not. And then they say they have it down. And then me, I think everyone knows my liner, especially with the ladies. I just tell them, listen, I just don't want you going running out on me like my prom date did.
I heard Gonzalez say that 2 times.
Yeah.
And then they laugh. and then I'm calling them like 5 minutes before. I don't really do anything past tomorrow. I'm all about today, like TNT, today, not tomorrow. I want everything right now. That's why I can come into a day with 0 appointments, and I'll pitch 8 times because I know what I want. Like, I'm aggravated if I'm not getting, like, I'm calling and calling and calling and calling, and then I'm texting, or I'll do voicemails, or calling again. Like, I'm consistent. Like, that's why I do it like this. I'm not trying to have today and everyone's setting me for Friday. Something in my tonality, something needs to change because I'm saying something off because these people don't want, they don't know what your schedule is. You got to remember, these people are assuming you're a basic 9-to-5er. I tell them I'm the Wayne Gretzky of my industry because his number was 99. You guys know who Wayne Gretzky is, right? I tell them I work 9 to 9. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Why do I do this? It's simple. A lot of and I'll use examples, right? So if anyone's near Raleigh, you guys know the new railroad that's getting built, right? Raleigh, Clayton, Garner, it's like connecting everything. I'm like, and I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds good. I'm like, listen, we have USW members, we have Boilermakers, we have IBEW. I have a lot of these members that are working a lot of overtime, so the only time I can reach them and their significant other, right, is 7, 8, sometimes 9 o'clock at night. That's not an inconvenience for me because it's exactly what you're entitled to. So if that 8, 9 works better, let's just go ahead and do this. Anytime I've had a 10 o'clock appointment, I've closed. And these were like $2,000 deals. They want to talk to you at 10 o'clock at night. They're buying insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what I would look at when it comes to solidification is give yourself like key points so that you don't miss it, right? So you're literally like looking at it like, okay, let me make sure I brought up write my stuff down, right? Let me make sure I brought up is there any reason outside of a family accident why we wouldn't be here? Because I just want to make sure we're not taking away from another member that would be available. And then I want to make them laugh at the end. Just don't want you going around, or I just don't want you running out of me like my prom date did. You know what I mean? Now, for me personally, one thing, Gonzalo knows this, probably Enoch too. A lot of people change their phone number. Me, I refused because it makes me stand out. Right? Everyone has a 919 number, right? Well, not me. I have a 906 number. So when they answer, like, I'll thank them. Thank you. I appreciate you answering. I know it's the 906 number threw you off. I know it says Michigan. I'm originally from there. I've had this number 15 years. I do live in Raleigh, right? So I'm used to being considered a telemarketer where I'm leaving a voicemail or a text message. Guys, this is like 7 seconds of just stuff that came out of my mouth. 7 seconds to literally explain that. But now they're laughing. Now they understand. I'm making it more personal for them. The skeleton's still there, right? I just use different muscles depending on who the people are. What that interaction looks like. Because I've had some terrible people. They were there. I've had people where I had a great conversation with them. Blew me off.
Yeah, that was my next question would be. Yeah. My next question, I had ladies. Derek, can you mute yourself quickly? I had ladies that I would build such a good connection. They would text me, how are you doing? Hope you have a good night. Sending me hearts and the messages and stuff. They wouldn't show up. And I would be like,
it's not
what
personal.
happened? Yeah.
It's not personal, Layla. That's the first thing you got to tell yourself, even though it's easy to. I'm just as guilty, of it back then. It's not personal. Sometimes they come up. I have this one. I started with this lady in May. Okay, Globe Life expense, right? It was a final expense lead. Okay, this lady is 54. This is what she's enrolling in on Friday because of how persistent I was. She's 54, and that's what I closed her on.
Oh wow!
$115,000 for $3,800.
Wow!
It took me 2.5 months.
Oh wow!
I've had those people, right?
Yeah.
You just don't want it to be your majority.
Yeah.
But follow up with them because this is what every single agent is not doing. That's why whenever we did this in the field, what I would do immediately after is I would post the Cookie Monster every single time. You just left me 3 cookies. I didn't even have to do it. I just had to show up. There's so many people that I call where they've been blown off, but more importantly is they were never contacted. They weren't even apologized to. Me personally, what I'll do is, I still let them know. Everyone likes titles. That's why I still call myself regional director. Am I? No. Have I ever been? No. I've been an NGA. That's the highest I've ever been. But people like titles, right? So like, hey, I'm a representative, and you left a voicemail, and say the regional director left a voicemail, you know who they're calling. They're going to call the regional director, right? Because it's got a title, right? So it's okay to give yourself, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And then from there, I'm just very direct on, what we're trying to do. But I'm like, Derek, I apologize. This is something we simply have a zero tolerance policy for. That's one thing I'll definitely look into, have a conversation with that individual, because that's not how we conduct ourselves. So listen, I don't know if anyone's apologized. I'll definitely do it because somebody has to. Mm-hmm. But this is most likely why it came across my desk now, because I have that buck stops here mentality. I'll make sure we get this taken care of. You do not miss that person, I'm telling you. Right. But now I just took someone that was upset and aggravated, and rightfully so. Right. And now I just turned it into a positive. They understand. I'm going to get them on the phone probably 5 minutes before. Right. And I'm going to have a quality presentation and most likely close. It's the same reason why someone that has been seen year after year after year, I've had sales on people that were seen a month ago, 2 weeks ago, because things were missed. You went in. You went immediately for the pitch, right? I know Patrick always used it with me, with dating. I know we're all adults here, so you guys can understand this analogy. But us gentlemen, when we take a lady out and you go right for it, you're probably never going to see her again.
Doesn't work.
The in-between wasn't there, right? There was no courting.
Yeah.
There was no conversation. There was no getting to know each other, right? It was right for, like, I know what this person wants. Well, nope, I already have insurance. I've had people all lie about medical conditions, like, you're wasting your time. I got cancer. I'm like, really? Well, where's the cancer policy at then? This could have been paying out money. I'm like, well, what do you mean? And then I'll sell them like an A71,000 with additional whole life or freedom of choice. Someone that has the A71,000, I don't call it that. I call it the get hurt, get paid plan, because everyone understands what that means. Get hurt, you get paid. And I'm like, well, we have the accidental benefit, but, let me ask you, this is really weird. It normally comes with a freedom of choice, certificate. I mean, did you have like a health condition at the time? Was it, coverage through work? I mean, I'm just confused. We typically don't see this very often. Now, is that in the script? No. But knowing the product and knowing your people, one can just simply come off the top of the head with that. And now you make that, the commonality to where it's because it's just a cancer policy. There's people that won't call it just because it's a cancer policy. I'm like, this person isn't spending $150, right? Where it may be a little bit more difficult. Now, I can tell you, I'd rather talk to someone that's spending $200 a month versus someone that's doing $30. Because there's a reason that person's paying $200 a month. They have value. That agent did a great job because they sold the value, not the price. That $30 probably ain't going to stick very long. You're spending $200 a month for 10 years, you're not getting rid of it. You spend $30 for 6 months, that's not that much. You know what I mean? So I take any leap now because I like to see how creative I can get, still being on system. I'm like, well, listen, got a cancer benefit, an A71. I've sold IG20s. Have you guys ever seen IG20 lead? IG20 means that green certificate or the golden certificate for the no-cost accidental policy. Right, where they had the $1,000 for a year, they paid the $1.50 to turn into $10,000 on the year. Well, how come that $10,000 hasn't been showed to you as the freedom of choice certificate yet? I don't say whole life insurance or just life insurance in general. I say freedom of choice certificate because that's what makes it stand out, right? So I come at them like all these other companies don't. All these other insurance companies aren't using a needs analysis. I tell them American Income is not in business of selling you additional insurance. Our job is simply taking into consideration what you already have and simply mending that gap to make it non-existent so we can create a generational wealth where we're leaving a legacy, not a liability, which at the end of the day, we all understand this, and then they're like, man, I never heard it explained like this before. An agent never took their time to do this before, right? And then from there, you're going to be like, wow. Like I also got 10 referrals from them. Good, call them right now. You just got on enrollment. You're doing your paperwork, you're setting up your Google review, emailing them the will kit. They got the time. Tell them to call them right now.
So, Greco, one question, man. So, me being a new agent, right? Let's say sometimes I get inside my head and start thinking, like you were mentioning about people this, is this person, is that person. What are some things that you do or that you did when you were a new agent to get out of that?
Call my leader.
Okay.
Because I can't get myself out of my own head. There's a reason. Because I'm telling myself something.
You ask for advice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Misery loves company. I'm not going to call those people. I'm not trying to talk to the other non-producer that's going to tell me the same thing. I'm going to talk to someone that's producing because there's a reason that one's producing, that's writing the same coverage from the same company in the same city, using the same Zoom app, using the same script. I'm going to reach out. Patrick and Slav are my two. I'm going to go up the ladder, not down. And if it's the same plateau, a GA calling another GA, call the GA that's beating you, not the GA that you're smashing.
Mm-hmm.
It's up. Keep going up. Sometimes you just don't like the response. Trust me, I don't like every single response or interaction that I have with Patrick and Slav, but I can tell you without it, none of this would even be possible.
Okay. Perfect, man. Thank you.
But now I reach out to them, and they're gonna, basically have those right probing questions. The first, why am I thinking like that, right? Because mindset's gonna be off. So you can't tell them that you're doing mindset, and then you're blaming the lead, you're blaming the city, because now you just sold yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything's connected. That's why you have to be honest with yourself to be successful.
Right.
And even if you're messing everything up and you're doing things wrong or whatnot, bring it up. They're going to appreciate the fact, one, that you're honest, but now that we have the answer, let's not practice insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. You know what I mean? So they're going to give you that clarity that you need to perform the way you need to perform based on what you're trying to accomplish out of this opportunity. And then once you hit that next one, maybe you don't get a sale, but maybe you get 10 referrals when you normally get 0. Or you get 10 when you normally get 5, right? Or you made it further in the presentation, right? You took the rebuttal maybe 2 more steps into it, right? My people tell me no like 3 to 5 times because I strategically want them to. Then that's when I come back on with whether it's the can't afford or whatever it is, and then, well, let me ask you, right? Because it's telling isn't selling, asking is. And it's also done in a way to where they can't tell me no. So on a phone call, if I'm setting an appointment, I'm like, listen, I have, a 5 o'clock and I also have a 7 o'clock. Now, does one of those work better for you? No. Where if I say, now Kendall, I'm pretty booked the morning, even to the mid-afternoon, but, what I can do is I did have a 5 as well as a 7. I know one of those is better for you. Which one is it going to be? You can't tell me no. Because I didn't form it in a yes or no format. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's ABC.
Yeah, always be closing. So if there is no show, it means that I can't even pronounce solidification, or
you have to solidify better. So you have to be consistent in those key points, right? Which is, like when they're getting off, right? That adjustment time when they're going to be home. If they're like, well, how long is this going to take? Right? I don't normally do the very long because when people are like, oh, it doesn't take very long, 10, 20 minutes. Well, I mean, if you got this guy at 6 o'clock, right, and he's got, overtime, he's got to go to work, at 6:30, you did it to yourself, right? Because we didn't ask enough because we just want to set an appointment so that we can get it booked on impact, right? Yeah. I'm going to probe 1 or 2 more. The second one is there any reason outside of, major family accident why we wouldn't be available at this time? The only reason I asked Layla is we have so many people to get in contact with. I just don't want to rightfully take it away from someone that would be available. That's all. And then they'll give you the reason. You're like, excellent. Writing up the name and number down, right? That's the first one. I just said the second one there, right? And then the third one is going to be what? Make them laugh. Just don't want you running out of me like my prom date did. and then see the adjustment and then measure it. Make sure you're measuring so that you don't need to get leaps and bounds to be successful, right? Just 1%.
Gotcha. And bro, before you get, I know you have to probably go here. The last question I have for you, what about like, let's say I'm in a presentation, right? And I need to flip a referral, but somehow, sometimes every time I forget to flip a referral. What? Maybe is it because? Do you think it's maybe because of the mental state?
I think it's because you're trying to rush it because you have another appointment you're trying to get to. What if that person's not there? You just ruined a perfectly good presentation on someone that's not even there. So what I would do is say it's 5 o'clock. I'm pitching my 5, right? And I have a 6, and it's like 5:45, and we're literally just getting to that rebuttal phase. I successfully do it. They choose an option, like the perfect, this is what most of our members do, whether it's platinum, gold, silver, A, B, option 1, option 2, it doesn't matter. It's always the same thing. That's what a majority of our members go with. Because people like to be part of something. Like, excellent. So what a majority of our members go with. So let's just go ahead, make sure this is still a possibility with the health questions. But real quick, I did have a member coming up in 10 minutes, right? Instead of, blowing them off, so to say, let me just give them a call because I'm not going to ask, right? Because that's a yes or no question. Like, Layla, give me just a second. I just want to send a text message out, to my 6, just so they don't think that I forgot about them. But as you can see, we need to get this done, just as fast as you want to finish it because I have someone else that's waiting to enroll. That's what I'm letting them know. All my people enroll. I didn't say they enrolled in insurance. Enroll in the will kit, enroll in the discount card, enroll in the no-cost accidental policy. That's where law school comes into play. Like, I never said they were enrolling in insurance. I just said they were enrolling. So now I preserved, right, what I'm dealing with right now. And then what if that text message comes through? We're so glad you reached out. My husband actually got called into overtime, right? He's not going to be available, till after 8. I'm like, I typically don't do this too often, but just because the rest of my week is booked and we do this, once a year, I'd hate for you guys to be missed. It doesn't take very long. I'll squeeze in that 9 o'clock for you. We'll get in, get out, we'll get that taken care of. How's that sound? So I'm making them feel special while making them feel like they're part of something at the same time. It depends how, like people's egos are, but you would have known that well before. You would have gotten the idea off the phone call, let alone doing the presentation.
Yeah. So the ones that didn't show, you call them next day, and the next day you call them till they show, right?
If I missed them, they're probably getting 2 or 3 calls the same day. I've had plenty of them in the field and doing this on Zoom, a 2 o'clock appointment that I closed at 9 o'clock at night. At 9 a.m., that I closed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. A 2 o'clock and a 3 o'clock that no-showed me, so I called my 5 o'clock early and they were available. Right? I'm calling them multiple times. I just know people tend to do text messages versus voicemails. So if you're like, man, no one's calling me back, did you leave them all voicemails? Like, yeah. Well, have you ever had someone that says to please leave a detailed message as well as your name and number, and they'll give you a call back as soon as they can, and then you hear the voicemail box is full? Mm-hmm. They don't return anybody's phone calls. But everyone's on their phones, and then they get a text message. So I would adjust to the text message or do both, a voicemail and a text message. Like, hey, tried making contact. I left a voicemail. Not sure if you received it yet. And then, boom, going from there. Just create a sense of urgency when you miss them. Right, let's get this taken care of. Whatever it is, just create a sense of urgency getting in front of them. Typically, you're getting on the spot this way. The people that have blown you off over and over and over again, I can tell you that they also typically buy because most agents aren't going to take the time to call them over and over and over. Mm-hmm. They already made up in their mind that this person sucks. They don't answer the phone, right?
Yeah.
And then I give them a call. I do my way on how I solidify. They show up for me, and they enrolled, whatever it is. But I'm like, if they've been missed over and over and over again, well, that means they haven't dealt with a representative yet. Mm-hmm. You got to keep spinning it into a positive. It's not them.
So I see a lot of agents, me by also, once they tell me not interested, I will put that in the comments. They hang up on me, I will put that in the comments, and I wouldn't call for a while. And I was like, what am I doing?
You mean if they hang up on you?
Yeah, I would
you put in the comments if they hang up?
Yeah, and then I would.
No, that's irrelevant to me. That's a setup for failure. That's like with a plea bargain.
Yeah,
exactly. Set up for failure. I'm not doing that because I don't want that in my head.
Yeah.
Before I call them, because put it this way, maybe they had a bad day and they had to take it out on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single career out there doesn't teach mindset.
Yeah, and I was like, what am I doing? I shouldn't be doing this. Why am I finding
I would have put hang up. It's a call, and I'm putting in no answer.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to put left voicemail.
Yeah.
Only time I'm really doing comments is if it's something I really do need, or if I need to use, like another phone number, or something like that. Like if it's a disconnected number, I'll delete the number out of Impact, and I'll put in the notes, use people search. And then I'll put the new number in there. Because the new number going into Impact, it's not going to register because it's not that same number that's on the policy. So even though you entered a new number in on Impact, when you type in the last four on the main screen, it's still not going to pop that lead up because it wasn't the original policy, right? The original one. That's not going to be done unless a policy service request form is done, if it's the policy owner, right? Or if it's something that was returned as the accidental death and dismemberment benefit where they actually fill that out on. So I'm just giving that as a way to stay positive because home office sees all your notes. I've seen some things where I'm like, I can't believe you posted that in the comments because now home office knows who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Now, if you are doing it, well, you can stop.
Yeah.
Definitely. So that's just a way for us to continuously say it's not us, it's not me, it can't be me. Well, what do you mean?
Absolutely. It's just
there's over 8,500 people in the company. Like and majority they're writing business. They're not dealing with the same situation. So instead of having the ego come into minds where we're defending our own bullshit, right? Let's see, can I do something a little bit different, or more importantly, let me contact the leader and tell them what I say word for word, not what I think they want to hear, because that's not doing anything, right? Because that's not helping me at all, because that's not how I'm performing. That's the same reason why when we talk about role playing your presentation, say you're doing a completely different script, but when Patrick's like, let me see a video, and now you do the correct one, right? You're not helping him. Help you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would have been doing the same one from the get-go, because now you're doing insanity. You're doing the video just to appease them, but then go and doing your own thing, right? That's there's that disconnect right there. It's the way you do one thing is the way you do all things.
Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you. I was like, why am I finding excuse to blame a lead that I marked and hanged up on me? And I'm like,
it's never the lead. It's always the breed.
Yeah, of course.
I don't lie. Those not interested leads do make me feel more anticipated to call them, and I do actually end up like setting appointments with those too. For the ones that says not interested.
Yeah, and that's how it works. And here's the thing, man. My team personally, I never taught them the not interested rebuttal ever. You know why?
I literally
your job is to make them interested. That's your job. So maybe it's the tonality, like your voice. I don't sound like. Me. When someone first meets me, right? They think I'm an asshole. I come off like that, and I know I do. Now, I think I'm one of the nicest guys once you get to know me, but the way I carry myself, my demeanor, I come off like a prick.
Yeah,
but you don't know
like a douche.
Yeah, douchebag, right? Look at this tool, this Ryan Bosworth lines in his oversized face mask sunglasses. I get it. But when I'm on the phone with them, I love the seniors because I just tell them I'm like their grandkid. I was like, you're going to adopt me. Even when I do like the premium, like, and that's just so you know, I'm also built into that. So it's kind of like you're getting another, grandchild, or you're getting another son, whatever it is. I tell them I'm built into that premium. Why? Because it's literally to death do we part. We're married now. You got my business card, my phone number, my email. You can look at the Google reviews. I am not hard to find. And if I'm not hard to find, that means I'm very upfront and thorough. It's why I have a 93% retention. December, it's going to be 97.3 in December.
That's a great
That's
job.
quality.
Oh yeah.
Sure. And it's just I do what I was taught to do. Lisa, it's a huge contributing factor to that. People want to, talk, oh, she trialed my business, she did this, she did that. Look and see where you'd be at if she didn't do a third of what she does. You might be out of business. She's not hurting you. She's protecting you. She's protecting Slav and Patrick, the leaders of the company. That's why it's like this. That's why we teach that, aspect of it on a hard close down, right? Oh, they said $50 they want to buy. No, each and every month, regardless of outside of like the home and, food in the stomach, is there any reason why this wouldn't be comfortable each and every month for the rest of your life? Because Kendall, this isn't a sometimes thing. This is an each and every month thing for the rest of your life, because the only time this pays is when it's in force. Okay? Now let me ask you, your electric, your car, the mortgage, what are they going to give your family when you die? Nothing. Except the next month's bill, right?
Yeah.
This is what's going to make sure all those other things are taken care of. Okay? This is why I want you guys to consider this, right? Not necessarily an investment, but it's not a bill either. Because if they're like, man, that was a great pitch. Like, you really sold us. I don't care if it's $200. I'm backing right off. Like, whoa. If you thought I was pitching you, you completely misunderstood. I don't say that because that's an attack. I'd be like, I must have completely, I don't know. I would have said something though that sounded good off the top of my head. Like, I must have completely missed the points where you thought I was pitching, because this is showing how you guys are leaving a legacy, not a liability. This simply isn't a pitch, right? Because we're going to be reviewing annually with you on this. This is something that your family is going to be using when you're no longer here to protect them, right? So this is more about value and what it's going to do for the family. And then the best line I use is, we don't buy life insurance because we're going to die. We buy it because our loved ones are going to live. And if you understand the idea of insurance, you understand you're buying money at a discounted rate. You can never have enough. But it's stepping stones. Don't be frustrated, like, yeah, that's so much information. No, right? Because when you do like a project, I like the game, back in the days. So one of the things I like to do is, I'm not trying to beat the thing immediately. I want to take my time. I want to enjoy it. I like learning these because it makes it better for me to master it. You know what I mean? So I like having a lot of different tools. So none of this should be overwhelming to anyone. It should be like, wow, I didn't know there was so many other different ways and tactics. I better learn my 4 rebuttals so I can learn that. Because that's where it starts, with the 4 rebuttals. And it's really going to be 2. Thinking about it and can't afford. And to think about it, let me ask you, Kendall, if it was free, would you take it? Of course you would. Everybody would, right? So it's really not a think about it issue, right? It's more of just finding that amount that's going to be comfortable each and every month. So what I can do for you, really simple. Let's just adjust this from the 30,000 to the 20. Basically, we're getting our foot in the door. We'll simply review this with you in a year. Things change. You can tack on the other 10. That's okay, right? But Kendall, have you ever gotten in trouble for doing the right thing?
Yeah.
You have gotten in trouble for doing the right thing?
No, like I'm being like very serious. Yeah.
Some of them will say that, and like I'll laugh, but I'm like, all jokes set aside, no. Have you really ever gotten in trouble for doing the right thing? Like, no. This is exactly what your family's depending on. This is what we're gonna do, right? When you're no longer there to protect them. So I laugh, but then I'm going dead serious again. And that's how I solidify. That's why my people pay that monthly every single month. I don't run into insufficient funds or cancellation. It just doesn't happen. But you need to get your reps in, right? So you can feel that out. Give yourself the sample size, guys. You got to give yourself the sample size.
So I guess
will work in your favor. I promise you. We're as good as our word.
Sorry.
Okay.
So
all right, last question, Simone.
Okay. So I presented to a woman about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she really wanted the insurance, but she couldn't qualify. Okay. And then afterwards, she called all her referrals and told them not to talk to me. Like, what would you have done differently?
Run that one more time. Say that one more time to me.
Oh, okay. So she couldn't qualify, and she really wanted the insurance. She was upset with me, but she didn't let me know that. And then she called all her referrals and told them not to talk to me.
Okay. Little tougher one from there, especially like just starting out, but people get mad about their health, and it's like, listen, like, I didn't do this to you. What I would probably do, at this point is I'm not going to really contact the referrals. I'm going to contact the source again, and I'm just going to bring up, and say I'm talking to you again, Layla. I'm like, Layla, listen, I completely understand, when it comes to those health questions and people not, qualifying, it's just simply procedure, right? And at the end of the day, you don't want to, spit on other people protecting their families, right? Simply because we couldn't have it. All due respect. I'm not trying to insult. I'm not trying to cause any issues. I'm just trying to show you that this is, a company that has multiple different plans that's protecting generations, right? And who's to say that you won't qualify later on, depending on what it is? I would just hate, to take child safe kits away and protecting children when we're one of the worst states in the country, right? When it comes to child abductions. I would hate to take, money out of people's pocket where they can actually be saving on their prescriptions, on their vision, on chiropractic, whatever it is, because these are just simply the no-cost benefits, which, ma'am, you still receive these. Simply because we can't enroll on the additional benefits, you're still entitled to that accidental. You still have insurance with us because we're going to take care of that no-cost accidental policy for you. You still have a will kit where you don't have to come out of pocket $1,500. You still have a medical service discount card that includes all those features, including the dental plan. And you have all 3 of your children's personal information in the grass of your own hands. Okay? So I'm going to simply ask one more time. These ones, that you did put down, for me to get in contact with, I just want to make sure I gave them the fair service just like I gave you. So with everything taken, into consideration, right, I think we can give them, that call and just kind of hear me out and just letting them decide for themselves.
That's good.
I'm going to use the no-cost benefits. What do you mean you didn't get nothing?
Yeah.
I gave you 4 things.
Yeah.
That saved you thousands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give her light at the end of the tunnel is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But I have to de-escalate it, okay? Because, ego against ego, it's not going to work. The client's always right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't fight that battle because you can't be talking smack about the person to the friends because let's say you do enroll it. Well, maybe she just hasn't gotten in contact with it yet, but then they do the family barbecue, and now all of a sudden a month later, now you got a chargeback coming because now she does cancel because for whatever reason, depending on where people are at, I can tell you right now, there's strangers, that I can listen to and agree with them over friends because just reading people and being in this industry as long as I have, I read people very well. The way you blink your eyes, if you're fidgeting, like I know when you're lying, right? I know when you're full of it. I know when you're being sincere. I know how to read people. That's the fun of it for me. I like it.
Yeah.
But it's not right to have them, take it out on others. Another example of this that I got from, Patrick is when it comes to collecting referrals and say you talk to someone, they're like, you know what? I did this last year. I gave out 5 people and they were pissed, yada, yada, yada. And I look at her to, reassure her that she did do the right thing still, given the names, right? Because we told you prepare them. We were going to be calling, and I'll let her know, be like, it's just a shame, when you try to help people and they spit all over it. And then I shut up. Just like when I ask which option works best, I don't say a word. I don't care if it takes 20 seconds. I'm not saying a word. Because the next one that speaks buys. Either they buy my product or I buy their bullshit. And the thing is, shit don't pay nothing, and it stinks. That's how I would handle that, but that's your minority. That is not going to be your majority. So it is a good question. So now you know how to handle it, later on, or other agents that may not be on here. But my job is to de-escalate the situation and still being in a professional customer service atmosphere. And I have bounced back on a few of those, not all of them, right? Not going to win all of them, but it shows you what you're capable of. You know what I mean? You turn that around and you close those referrals, or she changes her mind, right? Or all the stars align and you get that person the next year and they're now off that one medication, or they're off this. Now we'll probably still trial it, right? But it's better than telling me no. Now I get to renew all those benefits, right? Let me see if you used any of them. Let me see if you had any questions on how to use any of them. Just de-escalate the situation, be a human being. but use your humility, not your ego. Keep ego always, right? 38%, humility at 51. Once you switch that, that's when you're going to start going down.
Well, thank you, Greco. I really do appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
I love you to death, brother. And
love you too, man. Like I said, anywhere where I can help, simply just let me know. It doesn't take anything out of my, my schedule to, bounce a little longer than I wanted to today, but I already finished up for the evening. That's why I told you this wouldn't be an issue, but 30 minutes here, an hour there, you have a group, you have a topic, let me know. I can be a little bit more prepared, and then just hit specifics over and over and over instead of kind of, vomiting, different information out. So hopefully you guys took, a lot out of it. But what I can tell you is typical cliche. If I can do it, you can do it. I can't tell you how terrified I was, right, of people. I was so introverted, and I had to knock on doors. I had to see that the older couple at like 9 o'clock at night. I had to drive back home 3 hours after I did 5 presentations and didn't close anybody, right? So our mindset was really tested in the field. Here, it's just so easy to be lazy, right? Because I can literally move like 3 feet out of bed. I specifically did that on purpose because my living room is meant for people to live, not for me doing presentations and taking away from others, that are coming or visiting or whatever. That's why I took it out of the living room and I put it right in here. I'll conduct my business in my room, and then anything else that's additional out there. Put yourself in an uncomfortable position. If it feels like that video on Monday was, if it kind of feels uncomfortable to jump, you need to do the jump. Because you're already familiar with everything else. That's boring. You already know what it looks like. You know the terrain, you know the ups and downs, you know the whatever it is, right? Go explore. I like exploring. There's more adventure to it, more spontaneous, right? It's more like you're out like a roller coaster effect almost. You don't know what's coming. You know you're going to be all right. That's why it's okay to move forward. You're going to be all right. Whatever happens, it doesn't matter. The sun's still coming up in the morning. Whether you like it or not, it's still going to happen, right? And it's a new day. You got to remember, every day is a new day. I went 5 days in a row, closed nothing, and then I have, a $10,000 day on a Saturday off of response cards. One of them was like a diamond jeweler. Never seen it in my life. Still haven't seen it except that one. That was a $3,900 deal on a guy that had over $500,000 because I used that pitch, because I called Patrick and I told him I don't know, about this. I actually didn't get the sale. I walked out of the house, and I was stupid enough to go back to his house after I called Patrick, and then I sold him. So I pitched him twice. I was like, I'm going back. I completely forgot there was this, and this. And then all of a sudden, I didn't think about it like that. I was like, yeah, me neither. So I had to call my boss because I knew. You know what I mean? But that's the whole point. You learn. It's just American income. You don't learn and forget. You learn and you build. Okay.
Gonzalo, I know you said one more question, but can I get one more in, man?
Go for it, man. Go for it.
So how did you work on you being a new agent? How did you work on fear? You may have talked about it. I know I got in a little bit late. I was dealing with my kids.
How I worked on fear?
Yes. How did you deal with the fear?
That's a great one, man.
Same thing for me, because I'm starting out too. I'm a couple weeks in, and
all right.
It's always great to know a lot for the people that's been in the business for a while. So I'm just like a sponge, just absorbing it all.
Okay. So what I look at is, you know what fear means?
To be afraid?
I'm thinking acronym.
Oh, no.
Okay, so there's 2 that you can look at, right? So face everything and rise is one. And the other is false evidence appearing real. Okay? Because we all go through the systematic phase, right? Even something as simple as elementary school. Yes, sir. No, sir. You walking in a straight line, right? You're going in a classroom. You're sitting in the same spot. You have that same lunch tray. Everyone's getting the same meal, right? They teach you to be robots from the get-go, right? Well, we're programmed now to where perception is reality, but what we perceived our whole entire lives is the fear of the unknown. Okay, but because we haven't been around people, right? Now that's going for everyone. I'm not saying these are bad people, but I can tell you my family, when I go home, as soon as I get there, I want to come back home. I can't stand them. I love them, right? But they're negative. They're annoying. They talk crap about, other people, including family, behind the back. I'm one of those where, if it's a little murmur, I'm going to say it on the top of my lungs. Did you have something to say?
Mm-hmm.
Say it to my face. You know what I mean? And it's all these different things. And I'm just like, man, this is what I was around. So this is who I am. That's the bullshit right there. It's not who you are. Right? That's what you don't want to be. And I was like that and I left home when I was 18. As soon as I graduated college, I was like, peace. I've been on my own ever since. And I've been working since I was 14. Never missed a year. So that was almost my saving grace, is getting away from them. Right? Because what I always knew wasn't the case. I was like, man, I felt like I was lied to my whole entire life. Right? I've missed out on so many things. But that was also a mindset condition to where it's not that I missed out. I had to go through that so that I can have what I have right now. Because if I would have had it all easy, I could still be a bum in the street right now if I had it all easy, because I didn't know the value of the dollar. Right? So it's what is fear? Right? What are you afraid of? Is it actually fear that you're feeling? Right? Because if you look at fear, and if you look at, actually put it this way, nervous and excited. You guys tell me the difference between the both, or between the two? Being nervous, right? And then being excited. I mean, put it this way. In both, would you say you get like clammy hands, hearts, pounding, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no difference. It's the same exact thing, right? It's the perception of it, right? You get butterflies in your stomach. The difference with me is I made my butterflies fly in formation. You know what I mean? But people are like, oh, I'm scared, I'm nervous. Okay, well, how do you feel when you're excited? Same thing.
Yes, same.
Right? Are you scared to knock on that door? Why are you scared to knock on that door? Because you're going to have someone come out with an axe or a shotgun? Been there, done that with this company down in Lumberton. And one city that I sold the most insurance in was Lumberton. Lumberton, Durham, and Wilmington are my big three. But is that really what I'm, afraid of? More importantly, is that fear worth risking everything else you're trying to accomplish? Is the fear, and this is where you really got to break things down, financial freedom. $1 million to you ain't just peanuts to me. That's not a lot of money to me. $1 million is nothing. Especially with the way the world is going now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about when you were a kid, the dollar meant everything, right? $100 bill is now the dollar bill when you're an adult, right? Because $100 goes like this nowadays, right? So now I look at it and I'm like, well, let's actually break down, what am I trying to get out of this? So not just financial freedom, but let me put an actual amount to it and things that tie with it. Is this fear of learning a presentation and talking to people, is it worth me going back into the slavery of W-2, right? Where I'm asking for my floor, where now I can no longer be mad when I'm given a ceiling. You asked for it. You asked to be worth $50,000 a year like everybody else. You asked for it. Why? Because you wanted to be comfortable making money. Here's the problem, okay? Someone that's salary hourly, right? This is why they can go take 10 smoke breaks. This is why someone that's on salary, right, they can be sick and not show up. You're getting paid, right? Have you guys heard how people like to get back at their employer, like, what's that little Elmo rhyme that they used to do? I make a nickel, boss makes a dime. That's why I poop on company time. Right now you're in the bathroom for like an hour. Like, dude, come on. You're getting paid. It's different when you come in this industry. Why? Because you're paid off your work ethic. You're paid to perform. The performance pays so much more, right, than being told I'm worth $50,000 a year. That's almost an insult to me. I'm not worth $50,000 a year. I can't give you a dollar amount on what I'm worth. I think I'm invaluable, because it's not just the work I'm performing. It's the people, that I'm affecting, whether it's families or whether it's you guys right now listening to me. There's so many other contributing factors to it. There's so many variables. There's so many catalysts that can just come out of nowhere, right? This is what sets you on fire. So your fear, is it worth not having, financial longevity? Is it worth not having, if you like a Range Rover, Maserati, Lamborghini, whatever your car is it worth not having, the new home, or retiring your parents, or if you have children, making sure they're financially secure. Me, I'm a pretty bougie dude. I like my suits, right? So I have a lot of custom suits, and I set it up as like a competition award. And I'm like, am I really scared to go to work 7 days a week and pitch 7 times a day? No, I want that suit. And once I put it out on paper, I'm like, no, I want this more, right, than staying comfortable because of fear. Because it's so easy. Just for me, I can just go sit right there, lay in bed, not call the rest of the day. Why? I got Netflix. I don't have to work. I have to do nothing, right? Well, it's not making me any money though. That scares the hell out of me. Put it that way. That's what scares the hell out of me, is not making any money. But I can't make this type of money anywhere else, because no one cares about my performance, right? I used to work at Goodwill when I was in college. That was one of my jobs, right? And I did to the best of my ability. Yeah, was it silly? It wasn't, like being a firefighter or a police officer or a teacher or really affecting everyone, but I made it like it was, right? I told myself it was that important. Those boxes and wares, they were going to be organized. It was going to be done early. If there was a line, of people, like I'm in and out. Like I still treated it to the best of my ability because I want a promotion. Like I like recognition. So like the fear aspect, I was like, I understand it's uncomfortable, going up, knocking on doors, doing this. I've never done this before. Well, I never did either. But I forced myself to fall in love with it, because then once the money came, once that first check came, I'm like, this would have taken me like 2 months to make this type of money right now. It made it real. And fear isn't real. It's false evidence appearing real. You tricked yourself, right? It's not a bad person, not bad thinking, It's just you have wires they're connecting to the wrong place. The wires are still there, right? But you need to switch them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And once you do that, yeah, you're still getting power to the circuit, right? 2-3 volts. Switch it over though. Now you got yourself a 12-volt battery. Now you're the Energizer Bunny. Now nothing scares you.
Okay.
So look
that
at
makes
how bad
perfect sense.
how bad and this is where you have fun writing things down. I still to this day I have stuff written down because that's what keeps me going at a veteran level, right? It's so easy for me just to sometimes not do anything because renewals 3, 4, 5,000 a month. Like I really don't have to. But it's not about that. It's about like what I said on Monday, right? I don't know if any of you guys remember, but I had a quote on there where it stated that laziness in combination with lack of focus and lack of clarity is incredibly disrespectful to those that have faith in you, right? So for any of you that have kids, think about how much they're looking up to you, right? You're playing, with your kids. Put it this way, quality time and quantity time. There is a big difference. This is one I know I'm not with her. These are different reasons. But me and my fiance, we had this conversation on quality time and quantity time. There were some times where I had to cancel date night, right? There were some times where I had to go to work on Sunday and I really didn't want to. You know what I mean? But we still had good communication to where I made it up to her. She was very well aware of what my schedule was going to look like. More importantly, this is what our future was going to look like. This is how I distinguish the two, right? Quantity time is just BS and watching Netflix, right? That's it. Quality time is the fact when I first moved to North Carolina after nothing, because I moved here for a female, to tell you the truth. I actually lived with her and her grandparents. They made me a bedroom on the first floor, right? Gave me everything. Even my first job here, where he owned his own land surveying company, I made $400 a week, whether I went to work or whether I didn't go to work, right? But I'm no thief, so I earn my hours. You know what I mean? But the quality was the fact that I was able to spend $5,000 on that entire family just that Christmas alone, and I started with the company in October. I really didn't get licensed in November because I started when Hurricane Matthew hit. I passed my exam. I was the last car to cross the bridge in Wilmington.
Wow.
So I moved here, and as soon as I moved here, I lost everything.
Fucking awesome, bro.
And I've been here ever since. So that's what I would look at it, man. The fear isn't real. You're making it real. What you have to do is adapt like just new techniques, new mental techniques, whether you're reading something or listening to something. You know what I mean? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? Oh, I want to make money. Shit, don't we all?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to make money. Why do you want to make that money? How much money do you want to make? What time do you want to make it in? Right? And then just give yourself just like a tree pattern on, you have financial goals, right? You have your spiritual goals, right? You have, your business, your relationship goals, whether it's with your significant other, whether it's with your kids, whatever it is. But one, I don't really believe that we don't have time because one, we work from home, right? So we're just not good with your time, right? Which can be fixed, but I would always look at quality time and quantity time and ask yourself, I know Gonzalo knows this, but what are you doing right now? Do you have guilt in your mind on what you're doing right now? If it's there, you damn well know you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so when the axe comes, right, or the desired result isn't there, there's only one person to blame.
Yourself.
Okay? But there's always something to learn, and you can change that. So I would just take away the fear isn't real. Write down what you want. Understand the difference between quality and quantity time. Yeah, it's fun to go watch Netflix, but listen, those people all got paid. Yeah, it's fun to watch the Super Bowl, right? Those players are already paid. You're actually paying them by watching. They're not paying you to watch. They made their money already. Football's not going anywhere. And I'm a diehard football fan. But it's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like priorities. They're where they needed to be. So think about it like this way. You want to watch it, well, those that are actually professional athletes, they still weren't doing what you were doing during that time. They wanted to go have fun. No, they were at practice. They wanted to go pig out. No, they had a very strict diet. They had practice at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, or 2 days, or weight training, cardio conditioning, or high yoga, or, whatever it is. But they also had to do things that they didn't want to do. You got to understand that's a different path for them, right? Different industry. We're in a different one, but we make more money, right, than any professional. That's just the way it is. I mean, character Floyd Mayweather. The amount of money that American income has, you can add every single athlete. It's still not going to surpass. And what we do, not that it doesn't matter, because that's going to be perception, right? They create brief fun, right? Which, coming from me, I'm a diehard sports fan. I just understand the reality of it. I'm not going to be a professional athlete, right? But I can help someone else's kid be one. My time's passed. Right? Let me not take it out on others.
I remember having that conversation with Greco. This is when I was under him, and he was telling me about I wanted to watch a football game, and we had this conversation because he's like a diehard Chicago Bears fan. He was telling me about how
these guys are all getting paid, but what's getting me paid? Studying, knowing my material, right? If you're watching the game, let me take you guys to the 50-yard line. If you're watching it, go be there. That can be something you write down, right? Patrick took me to my first NHL game to watch the Canes play, the Hawks. I've now been there almost 7 times now. Bulls, just depending on when I want to do it, I have season tickets to go watch the Bulls. And I go maybe twice a year. But the money's there. It was allocated for that reason, right? Because it was a goal I wanted to do. Although I don't go consistently, it doesn't matter. The goal was set. The work was done. The result was earned. You have to reward yourself. Yeah. Okay? You can't just start this out with a year goal. It's not going to happen. You're going to defeat yourself within the second week. You have to get something on a daily plan, a weekly, then a monthly. Then you can do, quarterly, you have to give yourself a whole bunch of different areas to where at least at the end of the day, you can tell yourself you still won. It doesn't even have to be enrollments, but you set 20 appointments, right? You may have written maybe a little bit of business, but, you had a death claim. You can go to bed knowing that family's taken care of because you paid out the money. This industry really tells you who you are. But even more importantly is it can change and make you a better person than who you already are. Because I can tell you I was a very selfish person. Very. Because it's all I knew growing up. And now I'm just like if I can do it, anyone can do it. It's a very cliche, term, but like once you adopt it, that's when everything really starts rolling is when you create that solid foundation. Because with a faulty foundation, you're just going to have to dig it up and start all over again. Do you really want to wait X amount of time, or do you just want to get it right now? And then just build and build and build and build your empire exactly the way you want it. You're the one that determines that. But what I want is different than what you want. Yeah, we both want money. I know why I want my money. Make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Why this is 90% mental, man. Yeah, the skill set's important, right? But if the mind's not right, skill set ain't going to be there either.
I'm starting to figure that out. I'm starting to figure that out.
Track the progress. Make sure you're tracking the progress, because this is one of those 6 months from now. If you don't like where you're at, just remember where you came from. Remember when you couldn't even get one rebuttal out of your mouth?
Yeah.
But now you know all four. Maybe you're not closing $5,000 a week. You're consistently putting up $2,500. So this is where we can have that conversation. Remember where those 4 rebuttals were such a pain? You said you were never going to do it? Like this now. So then you go back and you reflect and you're like, okay, I have to do that same thing. What did I do? And it just depends on what now you're trying to tackle, right? But have fun tackling it, because just being given stuff, there's no pride in that. And you're just given something. It means nothing to you. It's a difference on owning a vehicle versus renting one. People beat the shit out of their rented vehicle. Why? Because you don't own it. It's not yours. I don't care what happens to it. I don't care if I burn these tires out. I don't care, if I burn this engine out, if I burn this clutch out, if I burn the brake lines out, you don't care. It's not yours. You need to be 100% confident knowing that you can stamp your name on anything that you do here. It's your name on it. Are you comfortable with that? Did you do it right? And from there, it's just tackling. It's just, you're just tackling obstacles, whether it's with yourself personally, or, like I said, mentally, spiritually, body-wise, whatever it is, something outside, you're dealing with a family issue, whatever it is. Sometimes it's hard to get ourselves away, if we do live with them or if we're taking care of them, but what they will see is they will see you change, and they're going to notice your attention span, right? And they want to be part of it. They want that. And you watch how people change. When you do you for the better, watch how they tend to come around. And you didn't even do anything. You were just a positive vibe.
Yeah, so true.
You got to take the cancer out. If you got a bowl of fruit, this is the last thing I'll say. You got a bowl of fruit, right? And one starts to molt. What happens if you don't take that one out?
They all start to grow.
Well, this
really
was
little concepts like these, yeah.
Yeah, this was so amazing, Greco. I really appreciate you. I don't know about you guys, but I needed this today. I know. Today.
A little different voice. I know I got to start getting first place consistently again, and then I can start talking more. So I got a lot to offer. I got a lot to give, a lot of experience. And one thing that I found is there's a lot of small things. Typically, a lot of key things that agents typically don't talk about. I'm talking about some dark secrets. I'm the one that typically hears them. And it's because of my story that I have with this company and also with my approach with it. But that's one thing that I've always appreciated and respected about myself is I'm able to bring that information out of people. And I know how hard it is to talk about it, but some things they need to be talked about. Don't be impulsive or explosive, either or. You got to have someone to talk to about it. Even if it's just venting, that's okay. Am I going to check the mindset? Yeah. But at least you also got it off your chest. Regardless, you're going to feel better on it. Positive self-talk. You talk out loud, that's fine. It helps me a lot. I still do it today.
Absolutely. Well,
but anywhere where I can help, if anyone's writing it down, I'll give it to you right now. My number is 906.
906.
367.
367.
1373.
1373. Oh, I got you.
And that's the cell phone. It's very, very hard to not get in contact with me. I live off this thing. So, it's if I don't answer, I'm with somebody. or I'm just doing something, but I typically try to get, I'm one of those where I can't have a single notification on my phone. I can't stand it. I see some people, and they have like 20 messages in there, and there's like 30 notifications. I was like, you would drive me nuts, and I'm glad I didn't hold my breath because I can't count on you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying, well, I'm going to be bothering you, that's for sure. I don't know about
Go for it.
I always bother people. I'm joking. Anyway, I really want to thank you, Greco. This was so helpful for me, but I believe for them as well. And I would like if in future you have, when you have a little bit time, so you can join us here in the room, Gonzalo, or here, so we can just pull back some more business and experience for sure.
Just roll through Gonzalo. He'll contact me. Like I said, we'll just, go from there. And I mean, really, I hope you guys got something with it. More importantly, what I would do is once I'm done talking, you guys are off this, give yourself 10, 15 minutes and reflect on what I just said. Mm-hmm. And I would write down what really stuck out to you. Not what you think I want to, right? Because I'm not going to ask for this information. No one even knows this happened, guys. Patrick saw it. No one told me to do this. Gonzalo called me and I said, hey, I literally asked him to come in here. None of this was set up, right? So you're not appeasing to anyone. But what I would do is I would really reflect on what really stood out to you in particular. That's where now you kind of have an idea where your mind is. Just start slowly unraveling it. There's nothing more important than pen and paper. It solves a lot of problems.
So true. So true. I did record this, so if you guys want, I can email you.
Send it. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, send it to me.
So I'm going to